الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى عترته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. In yesterday's talk, I mentioned that one of the things that we need to keep in mind in this month is the great favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us by honoring us, by calling us His guests. And we should be cognizant of that, we should be mindful of that, that we are the guests of Ar-Rahman, the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also that normally the hosts look after the guests according to their ability, according to their generosity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's generosity and ability know no bounds. It's important to always understand that, because you will find that people say, well, we know this, we don't need to discuss this. But you will see that whenever the Aimma alayhimus salam teach us dua, they always begin, a lot of the dua is just taken up by describing Allah. And then the actual dua is maybe the last line. And the reason for that is that it is necessary for the supplicant, for the one who is asking, to understand who he is asking from, and to understand the abilities of the one he is asking from, so that both consciously as well as unconsciously he becomes ready to ask with all his heart. Because that's when you ask, when you know that you are going to get. And that is why yesterday we talked about this aspect, that really the divine banquet is ready. The table is ready with gifts that the eyes have not seen, the ears have not heard about, even the minds have not imagined, laid out for those who fast. But what remains is for the people to come to the table. That is what is remained now. Everything is ready. If you but choose to come to the table to take what is there. This is what we need to do in the nights to come, inshallah wa ta'ala. This is a time, as I said, that as Rasulullah said, that it is the beginning of the year, and the beginning of the year for Islah, right? To reform or even tarakki. According to some riwayat, it is for tarakki. Tarakki means what? It's not that you are reforming something, a bad habit, you are changing it into a good habit or removing the bad habit. No, you have a good habit, but you are advancing it. Tarakki means you are making it better. And many times people say, alhamdulillah, I don't do haram. I mean, I do the wajibat, yeah. Well, what we're saying is that in this month it is possible to do the wajibat better. The salat can be on time. The salat can be longer. Huh? One person came, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once. In his house at the back, the fence was broken. So he talked to somebody who was a carpenter, and he said to him that I would like for you to come and have a look and see if you can repair this and so on. This chap, instead of talking to the Prophet, he came, he saw, and he repaired it. He repaired it. Rasulullah told him that you should not have repaired it before we came to an understanding about the cost. He said, don't worry, the cost of it is that you give me Jannah. Well, it's a good deal. So Prophet was even embarrassed actually, because Jannah is not his to give. But he told him one thing. He said, look, first of all, next time you must ask the price. Second thing, I will pray for you that you get Jannah. But you, on your behalf, do me one favor, increase the length of your sajdas. You increase the length of your sajdas, I will pray for you. Together we will get what you aspire to. It means what? That we can always improve a little bit. If you made 2 dhikrs in your sajda, make 3. If you said Subhanallah once, say 3 times. These kind of things. So this is what we can do. And believe me, brothers and sisters, that the ruh that we have in our hearts, the ruh that is us, right? When we talk about, in a simplistic way, when we talk about the ruh and the nafs as one now, this thing that is I, it is influenced by several things, all of which change all the time. This ruh of ours is capable of change. Don't think it's not. First of all, the ruh is affected by what? Is affected by the body, the badan, the jism. This jism of ours, body, is constantly changing throughout our lives. Some say that the whole body, is literally different every 7 years. Every 7 years, every cell has gone through change. Some cells, of course, faster than others. The corneal epithelium is the fastest growing surface of the body. Maybe in 1 day it can regenerate, right? The intestine, the stomach lining cells, they take a lot of beating from stomach acids. Apparently they regenerate every 5 days. But the bones regenerate, everything. The body is changing. So if the body is changing and it is impacting on the ruh, that is one aspect that the ruh can change. The second aspect that the ruh uses is the intellect. The intellect, of course, changes. When we were young, we knew something. When we got older, we became wiser, we became more smart. Our knowledge increased because we read more, understood more, listened to more, but also we became cleverer, we became smarter, we became wiser, some of us, right? And so the intelligence is changing, and all of that is impacting the ruh as well. And then of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسُ فِي الْخَلْقِ. Then, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, after this you will go back to becoming weak again. Whoever we give him age, we give him weakness, right? So those who are the smartest minds, they begin to forget. So your intelligence is changing. And this intelligence is linked with the ruh, with the soul. And the third is your heart, your qalb. That by which you sense Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is also changing. That's why it's called qalb. Qalb is something that changes constantly. Ya muqallib al-qulub, Allah is muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Yeah, keep my qalb. This qalb of ours, what we call our highs and our lows, sometimes we are really keen to do things. Sometimes, we have to really push ourselves to get out of bed for Fajr. Other times we want to press up. Sometimes we want to fast in the days of 13th, 14th, 15th. Other times we can barely manage month of Ramadan, please. 30 days, not even more, not even less. Somebody said to me that, he heard that there are 6 days to fast after month of Ramadan. So he actually thought it was a joke. Actually, there is a hadith, not so strong for us, but there is a hadith. So people sometimes are not willing to do anymore. These emotions and moods, they are from the qalb. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say that the soul or the qalb is like a wild animal or a horse. If you see it stubborn, do not fight it. But if you see it ready to run, you ride with it. Means what? That you see your dhawq and you see your mood, and you see some places, sometimes you have a lot of enthusiasm for action, you have a lot of energy, right? Don't say, yeah, that's all good, but my bedtime is 8 o'clock, so I have to go to bed. No, that day you are able to do more, do. And other days when you feel, that I really cannot do this long amal, well, do a part of it. Right? So this is how the qalb is. And so what I'm trying to say is that everything about us is ready for change, is changing constantly, is all ready in this month for some sort of change to happen. It doesn't have to be a big change, brothers. It can be a small change. But it has to be a measurable change. Imam as-Sadiq salawatullahi wassalamu alayhi was asked that when it comes to change, can you advise us? Imam alayhi salam said, a small change done for a long time is much more beneficial than a large change done for hardly any time. This is true even for the body. Even the people who instruct you to go to the gym, they will tell you this. That don't go and hit the gym for 2 hours, right, on the first day of your membership and not go again for a whole year. Rather than that, a little bit every day makes a lot of difference. And so this person asked Imam, when you say small thing that you should do for long, how long is for long? Imam alayhi salam said, from one Laylatul Qadr till the next. Take an action. It may be a simple action. It is whatever it is, right? You might say that from now on, every salat, no matter how busy I am, I will do tasbih of Janab Sayyida Salamullahi alayha. Okay. Allahumma salli ala. But then you stick to it religiously. I mean, it is something very important that you will not let go. And you do it, according to the Imam, for 1 year at least, from 1 month of from one Laylatul to the next. So these are the things that we have to now decide individually. That what is it that I personally can add or upgrade in my own actions for this year. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq in this, inshallah ta'ala. What are the things we have been asked to do? I said to you, I'll roll out to you a menu and then everybody picks up from his zawq what they like. What has been taught to us by our holy Ma'sumin alayhimus salam, by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and A'imma alayhimus salam. Allahumma salli ala. The first thing that I spoke about already was the Prophet saying, improve your salat. Improve your salat, because salat is the one thing that in many riwayat we have got that it is the foundation of all your ibadat. As-salat umud-ud-din. Or in another place, if salat is accepted from a person, all his acts of worship are accepted. Walakin in ruddat masiwa. So you have to be careful that it is something that is the gateway of acceptance, and consequently it is something you need to spend time on because it is your communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can we improve? Well, many things. I am just giving tabarruk. And improve it by ta'qibat. Have the adhan, the iqamah, the tasbih, the dua afterwards, small dua afterwards. You know, you are told that the Prophet said that if a man finishes salat and does not immediately ask Allah for a haja, for a need that he has, then Allah comments to the angels that my servant sees himself needless of me. That today my servant sees himself needless of me. This is not true. We are always needy of God, but we don't have time to ask Him for something. It is a sign of our internal arrogance that I don't need you. I am okay. Why? Because in our foolishness, because everything seems to be okay, we think ourselves independent. We think ourselves fine. The truth is, it is but the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is on us, isn't it? So we could improve the salat in the way of our understanding, in the way we recite, in the concentration, hudur qalb that we can bring. The second, which is highly recommended in this month, is the constant recitation of the Quran. And by this month, I mean in this month the habit for to continue. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that for everything there is a season, and the season of reciting the Quran is the month of Ramadan. So in this month we are encouraged to recite more. And of course people do recite more. We have darsa, we have individual Quran which we are reciting at home and so on. But the important thing is to keep this habit, right? And you may decide for yourself. The Imams have their own recommendations about how many ayat. That, for example, in one of the riwayah we have that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said that Allahumma salli ala, that a mu'min who has understood who has some understanding will not sleep before he has recited 50 verses of the Quran on a day-to-day basis. But that may be something we build up to. It may be something we build up to. It doesn't mean that you, but if we, for example, keep a promise or whatever that says, I will not sleep before I do 10. 10. Hope 10 is possible. Right? And then, of course, it brings with it its own charm. These are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is great blessing in it. Even looking at it, even looking at this text is got its own thawab, which is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say that Allahumma salli ala. Even if you know the surah, recite by looking at the words. Right? This is something that all Muslims have this hadith. You will find even the ones who have memorized the Quran, whenever they are reciting the Quran in front of the people, they may have memorized it, but they will keep the mushaf in front of them in respect of this hadith, that looking at these words is ibadah, let alone then reciting. And then we recite, slowly there will be that interest that let me understand what I recite. Right? And then there may be different levels of reciting. For Abu Hamid Ghazali, they say he was asked that how long does it take you to finish the Quran? He said, there is a recitation of the Quran that I finish every 7 days. There is another recitation of the Quran that I finish every year once. And there is a third recitation of the Quran that I have not yet finished. What does it mean? Different intensities of reciting. You may recite just to recite the words, to get the blessing of that. You may recite with some notes. There is no harm in having some notes in the side of your translation of the Quran, because this shows your thinking process, or in a book separately. So you know what are your thoughts, because this book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a miracle. Same book can talk to a child, can talk to a youth, can talk to an old man. Same book can talk to the same person who was a child and say something else, and it means something else when he becomes a youth and gets married and holds his son in his hands, and becomes something else when he sees his grandchildren in front of. Same book, same verse, but the person is seeing some new meaning. Same book that can talk to an expert, a faqih, a doctor, a philosopher, also can talk to the man in the streets, and both of them take from it. Right? This is a miracle of the Quran. So, it will lend itself to that, but we need to recite and ponder. So this is the second thing. The third that we have been recommended in this month is communication with Allah through supplication. Dua. Now, dua is first and foremost an ibadah. The Quran calls it ibadah. And why is it an ibadah? It is because a human being who sometimes, as I mentioned to you, when things are going right, we are capable of an incredible amount of arrogance when things are going right. We really think, nothing can happen to us. Things are happening to everyone around us. People are dying. People are going broke. People are becoming ill. People have all sorts of afat and bala coming. But somehow we think that we are an island and nothing can. And, of course, we are just as vulnerable. Dua. Dua shows you or teaches you humility. As human beings, we don't like to ask. We don't like to beg. But here we are told, beg and ask. The Prophet ﷺ would say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa. Begging of a man is zillah. If a man begs, it is humiliation. Except when he begs from Allah, that is izzah. But when he begs from Allah, right, that is honor for the soul. He begs in a way he would never beg anybody else. It breaks the ego. It breaks the arrogance. Because you would never talk like that to anybody, but you are talking like that to God. Because you are truly, truly needy. So, dua, and we should make our dua more frequent. We should make our dua more authentic. Imam Sadiq salawatullahi wasalam alayhi was asked, that why do most of the du'as not get answered? You know? Imam alayhi salam said, because most of the du'as don't get asked. Now you might think that's very odd. He's saying people are not asking. People are saying things. Huh? You know, people are saying things. This is our mindset. I always say, Mukhi Sahib here will announce, can you come and recite so-and-so Du'ai Kumel? We should say, can so-and-so come and ask Du'ai Kumel? Du'ai Kumel is to be asked, not recited, isn't it? But we recite many things. When was the last time we asked even one of those phrases? Why? We see ourselves as needless. These are good words, recited by an imam, or eloquent imam, said so beautiful things, but we don't need them. Our needs are not there, so they're not represented. No, we need to start getting into the mode of asking all the time, speaking to God all the time. In that there is great liberation, and you come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can start by, we were in the presence, I remember once in home, of a scholar, and somebody asked him this question, that how come I have difficulty in bringing my heart to namaz, huzurul qalb, because I cannot concentrate, my mind is everywhere. How come I am not able to have that? And he gave an answer I will never forget. He said, if you want to get huzurul qalb, if you want to get presence of mind and heart in salat, and speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your heart, then speak to Him outside salat. Speak to Him constantly, so that when you enter salat, it is an extension of what you have been doing anyway. Why can't we speak with Him? You're driving the car, there's 10 things in your mind that you're worried about on that day. Maybe a meeting's going to happen that you're not sure how it's going to turn out. There's an exam going to happen, you don't know what kind of questions are going to come. Whatever it is that's going to happen on that day, there are things that are now, you know how it is. Well, the moment you start the car, then all the thoughts come about the day. Why can't you talk to Allah about it? That, Ya Allah, you know this is coming up. I'm a little bit anxious about the outcome. Ya Allah, make it higher for me. Keep talking. People, used to be a time when people, when they're talking on their own, people would say, this guy is mad. Now they say he's on Bluetooth. You can be talking loudly, shouting, laughing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They'll say, yeah, he's on Bluetooth with someone, don't worry. Right? Yes, go ahead on Bluetooth with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what about that? You know how liberating and encouraging it is to tell Allah your problem. Because you can tell your father, you can tell your mother, you can tell your brother, but they suffer from two problems. They love you, but your problem may be beyond their strength. Or your problem may be beyond their knowledge. They want to help you, they don't know how. They want to help you, they don't have the strength. But now you are talking to someone who doesn't have these problems. You say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is my issue. Never will you hear that Allah said, I don't know how, or I can't help, So, in this way, if we learn from these du'as that we are reading are nothing more than conversations that the Imams had with Allah. They spoke from the heart. They described God the way they understood. It is for us, then we copied it from them. But they were speaking to God, authentically speaking to God, with all their hearts speaking to God. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teach us this. So Allah subhanahu, there is a hadith Qudsi, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would say, that in Kalimatullah, Allah says that there is no servant of mine whose eyes open in the middle of the night and he says, Ya Allah, except I answer immediately and said, yes, Abdi, you called me, I am listening. Ask me, I will give you. Immediate response, immediate attention. In one hadith to Musa alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O Musa, I deal with every creature of mine as if he is the only one I made. Yet he looks at me as if he has many creators. See the irony in that statement? We talk to God as if you are one of many others. But Allah says, I treat you like you're the only one that I ever made. So we should get it. The other one is, in this month, we are highly encouraged to give charity. Our time is running out. Inshallah, on charity, there is a sermon, a seminar tomorrow, where I will make some points about that, and many other things. I want to end with one that is so highly recommended in this month, that it is in many of the du'as, and you recite this dua every day, and that is to go for Hajj. From the beginning, first day, we started recite, Allahumma arzuqna hajja baytika al-haram. Fi aami hadha, fi kulli aam. Go for Hajj. Yeah. You're having problems throughout the year. You have many things happening throughout the year. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran, in Surah Zariyat says, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. When you have problems, run away to God. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, it means go for Hajj. This verse, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ, it means go for Hajj. If you have not been to Hajj, it is wajib. If you have the means to go, and you haven't been for Hajj, it is wajib to go. It is very, very, very serious if one has the means and does not go, because Rasulullah said that he does not die on my religion. He dies on another religion than my religion. If he had istita'ah, he had the money, but he talked himself out of going for the Hajj, or went for Umrah. Umrah is not Hajj, brothers. Ziyarat is not Hajj. Hajj is wajib. And if you have been, this dua seems to indicate that you should go again and again. Fi aami hadha wa fi kulli aam. In one of the hadiths we have from Kalimatullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as for the servant who I have blessed with plenty, if he does not come once in 5 years to greet me on the plains of Arafat, then he has been unjust with me. This is a hadith that I have given him. He is comfortable. He has done his wajibat. If he does not come once every 5 years to pay regards to me on the plains of Arafat, then he has not done right by what I have granted him. So soon the groups will start announcing the Hajj. This is the month of Hajj from next month now, Shawwal, Zilqa'd, Zilhajj. And alhamdulillah, there are plenty of groups that are going from this very London of ours, right? There is the Coages Euro Hajj Mission. There is the Hajj Assistance Committee. There is Hajj Tours and many others. So there is no excuse. You can find out and you can write your name down. When you are reciting this dua, at least part of it in your heart should be, Ya Allah, let me go this year. If all works out well, open the road or open the doors so that I can go. So many times, brothers, I'll tell you, I've heard, Ahmad Bhai will have heard, कि मारो कोई विचार तो ना था. I was not planning. I really was not planning Hajj this year. But the last minute something happened and everything went into place and I'm here. Look, this is true. These are people who every day they recite this, Allahumma arzuqna hajj baytikal haram. Brothers, before we end, I want us to remember one Hajj. This is the Hajj of 60 Hijra, where everybody has come for Hajj. Everybody is in Makkah. Hussein bin Ali is also in Makkah. For 4 months he is in Makkah. Everybody expects that on the day of Arafat, the guest of honor, the most important Haji will be Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. But they find that when they look around, Hussein is not to be seen. Because Hussein salamullahi alayhi has received news that the enemy has sent assassins into the house of Allah, that they are disguised as pilgrims and they want to cause bloodshed in the Kaaba itself. And so reluctantly, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam changes his niyyah from Hajj Tamattu to Umrah Mufrida and moves out after having done his tawaf and removing his ihram. And then on the way now, he begins to find that those emissaries that he had sent to Kufa are also now being treated very badly. I just want to leave you with one tabarrukan. There comes in Muntaha al-Amal, Sheikh Qummi writes that Imam reached a place called Zubala. And two different sources, two different emissaries came to him and said to him that, Yabna Rasulillah, your envoy, Muslim, has been murdered. When Imam hears this, he asked Janab Zainab to come, and he says to her, bring the daughter of Muslim. Her name is Hamida, and others say her name is Ruqayya, and he brings her. When the girl sits there, she is sitting there, she is very small. Sakina is also there. Imam alayhi salam opens a small casket and he takes out earrings and he gives it to this Hamida. And he starts to rub his hand on her head. This is a child of Ahlul Bayt. She says to him, oh uncle, why do you treat me the way they treat orphans? Is my father okay? Imam looks at her and says, this Hussein will be your father from now on. This Sakina will be your sister from now on. Sakina is watching this. Whenever I read this, I feel in my heart, little Sakina is thinking, this is how orphans are treated. People look at orphans and they give them presents and they rub their hands on them, which is why on Ashura day the first thing she said to the enemy was, I am an orphan. Please deal with me well, I am an orphan. لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. صلوات بر محمد وآل محمد.